What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Kryptonian saying here, bringing you guys another discussion for Jujutsu Kaisen, and today I want to have a conversation with you guys about why Gojo, this overpowered daddy that everybody loves, Gojo is the perfect example of a perfectly well done overpowered character. Now, when you get into Battle Shonen and you have a character like Gojo who is literally stated to be the strongest when it comes to the jujitsu sorcerers that are in existence, and you even have people saying like Gojo might actually be stronger than Sukuna. The fact is that Gojo's one of those characters to where you could argue his very existence kills tension, and yet at the same time Jujutsu Kaisen has written the story in a way to where long before Gojo ever got sealed away, Gojo was a character that he didn't kill the tension in the story. You had a constant situation where the stakes were constantly being raised, and it was done in a way to where even when you started getting the special grade cursed spirits like say Hanami, and you had Todo and you had Yuji fighting side by side, and they're alternating between Yuji using his Black Flash and Todo using his Boogie Woogie to swap out places. Even when that was going on, you were still in a situation where in the back of your mind you knew Gojo would probably show up and save the day, but because of how the tension elsewhere was being written, Gojo's very existence didn't stop the story from reaching its apex in terms of being able to deliver a suspenseful level of conflict for the actual story. So when you have a character like this, the big worry that you have is that he's too powerful and the bar's gonna be too raised for the people around him. And one way that the author of Jujutsu Kaisen has been handling this is Gojo's been that character that's been just at arm's reach, and Gojo, when he does show up towards the end, it's one of those things where he gets this moment to shine, like when he's fighting Jogo and you get that moment where he's taking it and making it a teaching moment for Yuji to explain domain expansion to him, and yet at the same time you never got the feeling that Gojo was out of his element in that fight and that this would be a situation where Gojo would actually lose his life. You felt pretty confident in there, and yet at the same time there was still a level of conflict there, and the sheer way that his ability works was something that absolutely shattered Twitter that day. And so when you get to the festival exchange where you have these sister schools, where you have the Kyoto and the Tokyo Jiu-Jitsu schools where they're doing their event, Gojo, there's this barrier that's put up, and it's specifically put up to keep Gojo out. And the reason why it's so huge is we knew that Yuji and Todo were fighting against a special grade curse spirit. We knew that there was some crazy stuff going on. And so when you see Gojo running to the scene, you're thinking, okay, this can be it. We're gonna see Gojo Daddy go in there, slap some people around, but the barrier was specifically set up to keep Gojo out of the actual events. And you had this great buildup of where it's like, oh shoot, the strongest jujitsu sorcerer can't actually get in there. They're having to fend for themselves. You're seeing situations where Megumi is in a real life or death situation. You're seeing a situation where Nobara's in a situation where when she shows up, things could have escalated very quickly to where she herself could have been in a life or death situation too. And so what I like here is that Gojo's existence did not stop the actual story from being able to tell a story that is wrapped around in conflict. And so you had this moment where it built up to the fact that Gojo was floating in the sky like an actual god, and Gojo had essentially shattered that barrier before it was even supposed to actually go down. And he shows up, and once he unveils his six eyes and starts looking at people, you have situations where this dude's whole arms and legs are being cut off, and Gojo's looking at him and saying, okay, yeah, make sure you heal him up because we need to ask questions. And then without actually even having to go directly to the battlefield, he just senses the cursed spirit around Yuji and Todo has to tell Yuji, don't take another step forward, because if you take another step forward, you're gonna get caught up in the attack. Gojo unleashes an attack that's so powerful that it stretches all the way across the battlefield to where Yuji was, and it was strong enough to where it would have exorcised Hanami if Hanami would not have actually gotten out of there. But multiple times you heard the cursed spirit say, we don't want no smoke with Gojo. And so once you get into the manga and you get this dude's backstory, you find out that you have actual cursed spirits and you have jujutsu sorcerers. You have everyone that is looking at Gojo and they're realizing that this dude, just by being born, this heir to the Gojo clan, is so overpowered that just by existing, he shifts the tide of balance between cursed spirits and actual jujutsu sorcerers. And what I like here is the fact that Gojo, as you see him as a child and people try to assassinate him, he basically looks at some of these dudes and says, you don't want none of this smoke, and they're having whole ass breakdowns as a result of it. You see how Geto and the rest of the cursed spirits are having to look at this dude, and essentially they're in a situation where they have to use the prison realm in order to seal this dude away because of how overpowered he is. And so you have that, you have the fact that Gojo, in the very first fight we see this dude in, Sukuna was this character that was just hyped up, and while he wasn't at full power when he was fighting against Gojo, Gojo was absolutely manhandling this dude. And so you have transitions like that to where every time he's shown up, you've had these really badass moments, and yet at the same time, because of the fact that he's been kept at arm's reach and then he's been sealed away in the Shibuya arc, it's one of those things where Gojo is so overpowered that you see all these preventative measures being taken, and it really elevates his characters to a completely different level because of the fact that once he's taken off of the board, all of a sudden Nanami gets dusted, Nobara gets her eye destroyed, Yuji is in a real life or death battle against Maito. You have all these things going on right here in this situation, and it's all because this dude is not here to actually come in and save the day. And that's why I say this, overpowered done right. It's not going the route of Masashi Kishimoto where Kakashi was revealed to be super overpowered, so Kishimoto gave him a stamina weakness. No, Gojo is just freaking strong, and the author makes no apologies for it. He makes no apologies for it. Gojo exists in order to be strong, and he introduces a way to take him off of the actual story without actually cheapening the actual story itself. And so it's been over a year since we've actually seen Gojo, and there's a real possibility that the guy might actually die, and yet at the same time the story itself has not actually suffered. So in my opinion, Gojo is an overpowered character that has been handled correctly. However, I want to know from you guys, how do you guys feel about the fact that Gojo is the strongest jujutsu sorcerer that is out there, and you have people that were in literal hiding because of Gojo? Let me know down in the comment section below, but as always, guys, if you like anything I had to say, don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, and share. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. Have an awesome day, guys.